I, I just. All right. So, the United States Coast Guard is a member of the military sometimes. When the United States Coast Guard, if memory serves, you can look this up and correct me, that's perfectly fine. I am not so insecure that or scared of being corrected. But unless we are in a time of conflict or war, the United States Coast Guard is not a member of the military. When we are in a time of conflict and war, they fall under the United States Navy purview. Other than that, they fall under the Department of Homeland Security. Now, we know how racist the Department of Homeland Security is, right? They're the ones who are doing all this nasty ICE crap, Border Patrol, tracking everybody's movements. And you've got, G.I. Joe wannabe Barbie up there who, whatever. They're the ones who are dictating this. It is not the Coast Guard. And if it is, Okay, so this says the military service, which falls under the Department of Homeland Security, has drafted a new policy that classifies such items as potentially divisive. So this is like swastikas, nooses, Confederate flags, things like that. They're not potentially divisive. They are divisive. This is 100% the Nazi regime starting to really come out of their shell. I'm telling you, that's what this is. This is the beginning of them. And they're using the Coast Guard to do it. And they're seeing how this is going to go over. And it's bad. If they are going to openly flaunt and allow people to openly flaunt these hate symbols, there's no such thing as potentially divisive. These are hate symbols. If they're going to allow these people to do this, then what's next? I'm just saying. The swastikas in congressmen's offices that we talked about, or last month, are not going to seem that bad when you have military personnel walking the streets of a city wearing swastika armbands. So the real question is what are you gonna do about it, right? Like we really can't do a whole lot. This falls on the United States Coast Guard for policing their own. And I've been in situations where you have to police your own and you have to really just kind of put down the bullshit and everything else. And it happens, and it's not always fun. It's not always kosher for the civilian public to do this, but it does happen, okay? Sometimes there are just people that just need to be put in their place. And that's the Coast Guard really needs to do this. To anybody who pops up and thinks this is okay and says, "Oh, I can do this. It's in the regs. It's blah blah blah." I'm telling you, this is not the Coast Guard doing this. And like I said, if it is, holy crap, they got bigger problems. But the Coast Guard really needs to. Yeah, this policy is in place, but there needs to be that undertone of anybody who actually tries to use this policy to wear swastika or any kind of hate stuff is gonna find out, right? This is 100% a fuck around and find out type situation for anybody in the Coast Guard. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. But this is first step of them normalizing hate symbols like swastikas and things like that. They're trying to bring it back. And they are not. And they shouldn't. So we'll see what happens here. But holy mackerel, they are out in the open, people.